Life of Pi. In the quiet town of Pondicherry, India, lived a boy named Paseen Molitor Patel, known simply as Pi. His life began surrounded by animals, for his father owned a zoo. From an early age, Pi's world was filled with curiosity, faith, and the endless search for meaning. He was fascinated by religion. Though born a Hindu, he found beauty in Christianity and Islam. While others mocked his confusion, Pi saw no contradiction. Faith, he thought, is a house with many rooms. His life was simple until his father decided to move the family and their animals to Canada. They boarded a Japanese cargo ship, the Simpson, carrying the zoo's creatures across the Pacific. The sky was calm, the sea was vast. But one night, the world turned upside down. A typhoon struck with monstrous force. The ship groaned, tilted, and began to sink. Pi stumbled on deck, rain slashing his face, the cries of animals echoing through the dark. In a blur of chaos, he was thrown into a lifeboat, the only one that survived the wreck. When the storm cleared, he looked around in disbelief. The ship was gone. His family was gone. Only the vast, endless ocean remained. And he was not alone. On that lifeboat were a zebra with a broken leg, a hyena, an orangutan named Orange Juice, and hidden beneath the tarpaulin, a Bengal tiger named Richard Parker. Days passed in terror. The hyena killed the zebra, then the orangutan. Pi watched helplessly. Then Richard Parker emerged, enormous, orange, beautiful, and deadly. With a single strike, the tiger killed the hyena. The boat belonged to him now. Pi trembled, trapped between hunger, thirst, and fear. But then something awakened within him, the will to survive. He realized that if Richard Parker lived, so would he. "We are not enemies," Pi whispered. "We are life itself, two souls bound by the same ocean." He built a small raft tied to the lifeboat, keeping a cautious distance. He learned to fish, to collect rainwater, to endure the sun and waves. Slowly he trained the tiger with shouts, with hunger, with courage. Over time, a fragile peace grew between them. Man and beast, master and companion, both sustained by the other. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Pi watched the stars and prayed to every god he knew. His faith became his food, his hope, his water. He saw beauty even in despair, the shimmering plankton at night, the vast silence of the ocean. Sometimes he thought he saw angels in the waves, or God's face reflected in the sea. Sometimes he thought he was going mad. One morning, the boat drifted through a sea of jellyfish glowing like spirits. Another day, they found a floating island covered in algae and filled with meerkats. It seemed like paradise, fresh water, food, safety. But the island held a secret. At night, it turned carnivorous, feeding on the life that lived upon it. Horrified, Pi and Richard Parker fled once more into the ocean. After 227 days at sea, Pi awoke to the sound of waves breaking on shore. He had reached the coast of Mexico. Exhausted, he dragged himself onto the sand. Richard Parker stepped off the boat, walked into the jungle without looking back, and disappeared forever. Pi wept not from joy, but from the sudden emptiness of parting. He was rescued and brought to safety. When Japanese officials questioned him, he told his story of the tiger, the lifeboat, and the miraculous survival. They doubted him, called it impossible. So he told them another story, one without animals, only humans, darker, brutal, and tragic. When he finished, Pi asked, "Which story do you prefer?" The men looked at each other and said, "The one with the tiger." And Pi smiled softly. And so it is with God. Years later, as an old man in Canada, Pi still dreamed of the ocean. He never knew whether Richard Parker was real or symbolic, whether he had tamed a tiger or the beast within himself. But he knew this: faith had kept him alive. Life, he realized, was the same as the sea, vast, cruel, beautiful, and divine.